go.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Masters Fantasy Show, brought to you by MastersFantasyFootballLeagues.com. As always, I'm joined by the Masters crew. What's up, guys? How you doing today?
Doing great. Another great Sunday of football.
Absolutely. I'm ripping those Browns throwbacks that you saw today.
Quick shout out.
Feeling
You
good.
guys see I got my new Bernie Kosar autographed helmet, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Cleveland
That is
legend. I actually sold my LeBron ball, which hurt a little bit. So I bought that to make me feel good.
Yeah.
But hey,
I
man,
like
we're here to talk fantasy football. We're here to talk. I'll be honest, man. If you're watching this show, your season probably hasn't went that well. By the thumbnail and the title, what to do if you're 0-3. Things are looking down. It's been a rough start. You probably just had another rough weekend. I don't know if you guys get it, man. I get that pain in my chest when I log in and see I'm going to 0-3. So I pulled out the big hitters, man. I got Dynasty Owl. I got the Doc. We've been racking our brains to help you guys out with some advice, some moves you can make to possibly salvage your season. With that said, man, I'm going to kick it over to you guys. Whichever one of you guys want to go first, trying to help these guys out, man. They're 0-3. What's the next move you're making on your team?
So for me, I actually do kind of like the reverse of my 3-0 strategy to an extent. If you're really bad, cupboard's bare. I mean, sometimes you got to make those moves and trade a guy like a Devontae Adams for two good players because you're just that many holes on that offense, on your offense, I should say. But another one I like too is I feel like it's kind of like looking for the spots where you're having the most problems. Like realistically, if you're 0-3, I feel like you probably have like a really bad tight end. I feel like that's probably part of the case. Like just those positions where there's like tough drop-offs from like the top 3, 4, or 5 guys. So for me, the main guy I want to go and get is a guy that had a bad game today, but who I think will be a top 3 tight end is TJ Hawkinson. So I feel like TJ Hawkinson, even though he was great the first 2 weeks of the season, like 20 plus points, ton of targets, this week, real dud, 2 catches, 10 yards. I feel like his name still doesn't carry the kind of weight that a guy like a Gronk or a Kelsey or a Waller or even a Kittle have. So I feel like what you can do is make a trade on, I don't know, find the guy that has Hawkinson and just try and get him on your roster. Maybe have them panic a little bit and be like, oh, this is more the real TJ Hawkinson, because it's what we've seen his entire career. So I feel like it's a good opportunity to go out and get him because realistically, I mean, he's the guy that's going to eat a lot of targets the rest of the season. And I think his name will become, a household name for the tight end position. But I think for right now, with how people like see him and how bad that position is, I think that's someone you can get without having to break the bank for a guy like a Waller or Kelsey and still have a lot of impact on your team.
Yeah, I think it's a great take. I expect to be processing those trades like that all week. It's a classic strategy, kind of ties into mine too. And just a couple names that come into mind with your take, Doc. I was thinking like, if you're sitting on Kelsey or you're sitting on Waller, I mean, yeah, that's great, man, but you're 0-3, you're hurting somewhere else.
Right.
So something, I just think something like you said, man, go look for the Hawkinson owner. And I think a guy you could like add in would possibly be like Deebo Samuel. Because I mean, it's possible some rosters haven't even started Deebo Samuel yet. If you draft him really well, I mean, he's your 3rd, 4th wide receiver. So why not take a Kelsey or a Waller, shoot it over for TJ Hawkinson, an Odell Beckham or, someone like that.
Yeah.
A guy that's going to get you a little bit of help, a wide receiver or Deebo Samuel. Mine, and the reason I want to go because my take's pretty much the same. I had written down here, trade your stud quarterback. It's a strategy. I mean, I'm pretty sure all of us are usually against drafting a quarterback that early anyways. And part of the reason could be because you're hurting somewhere else with depth at the position now. You found yourself down 0-3. You're trying to start Tyson Williams every week, stuff like that. So it's time to move on, get rid of that stud quarterback, and find a positional player that you can use week in, week out. I mean, and I hate to keep using Deebo Samuel, but I think he's a perfect example. If I'm sitting on Kyler Murray or Patrick Mahomes, or, I'm trying to go get a guy like this that I can start every week and then hit the waiver wire, man. Tons of quarterbacks out here. I promise you, if you go look even at this past week, there's probably 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks that were on the waiver wire that you could have started, and you would have been just fine with. You got to play the matchups. You got to hit the waiver wire. The Daniel Jones, the Derek Carrs, all the guys, the Kirk Cousins. Get 2 of them on your roster, even Jameis Winston. Play the matchups. Get rid of the quarterback. Add that extra weapon on your roster. That's something I'll be having to do on a couple of my teams. I've used it in the past before. It's worked. So that's my advice. That's all I got.
Yeah, no, I like it a lot. Yeah,
I love that too, because people are they love to trade for the guys like Kyler and Mahomes and people like that. But, it's like you said, I mean, there's guys on the waiver wire that aren't doing much worse. I mean, quarterback is so deep. I mean, yeah, the guys like Kyler are going to get you 30, but I mean, Cousins and like Derek Carr are getting 24. So, I mean, realistically, how much of a difference is there? I think it's a smart move to get rid of Kyler and bring in some other pieces. I love the take.
Thanks, Don.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Dynasty, I'll kick it over to you. You're up.
Sure, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, so
Take us home, Al.
The strategy sounds a little cliche, but I think I got 5 guys here who fit it pretty well. 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, and 2 receivers. But so in a nutshell, I'm 0-3. I'm looking for guys, who have been disappointing so far, obviously, because that's going to make them obtainable, but who have really high upside still. So some names that come to my mind at a quarterback position, Dak Prescott. I mean, this was a guy we were talking about as potential the quarterback 1 before the season. He's had a rough first couple of weeks so far. He plays tomorrow, so we haven't seen the 3rd week yet. But I mean, he's a guy who, surrounded by weapons, could be throwing the ball a ton the rest of the year. So I think he's a good quarterback to go after if you're on 3. At the running back position, I look at 2 second-year running backs with Jonathan Taylor and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Both of them been a little disappointing through 2 weeks, but I think if everything starts to click right for those guys, they're super high upside, high potential guys who could kind of finish as RB1 still, that are obtainable for less than an RB1 right now. And then at the wide receiver position, 2 other guys, Odell Beckham, who made his return today, looked solid, but still pretty obtainable. I mean, we all agree the ceiling can be pretty high for Odell if things click with him and Baker for the rest of the year. And then CeeDee Lamb, another guy as well. Ton of hype before the season. Little disappointing through 2 weeks, but I mean, we love CeeDee. We think, he can put up some prolific numbers, especially the Dak and CeeDee connection kind of. You could tie in both of those. If you're 0-3, but you go out and, reasonably obtain Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, those are 2 guys who down the stretch could maybe help turn around an 0-3 team. But yeah, that's kind of my strategy. Those are some guys who I think fit that mold. But yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, I like it, man. I mean, all guys that have underperformed a little bit. Maybe some of them guys even on their roster, they're starting to look at the backup quarterback, perhaps outperforming Dak, outperforming Jonathan Taylor. You're starting to feel like he's a little expendable. I don't hate it, man. Another strategy just kind of came to mind when you were saying that. I was just getting your guys' thoughts on it. You're 0-3. Sometimes, man, trade just to play the matchups. Like, maybe maybe you love Jonathan Taylor more than you love Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but you take a look at the matchups next week. You love what Clyde Edwards-Helaire has going on, the way he looked today. Although I'll admit, man, for a minute when he fumbled again today, I thought he might have been done.
I know,
Yeah.
me too.
Yeah. But I mean, I've seen guys do it, man. Like coming out, I'm just looking for sweet matchups week 4.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm downgrading just a little bit, just a tad. I'm downgrading from draft stock, but I'm getting a gravy matchup this week. Is that something you guys have ever done or would consider?
I've never done it, mainly because I'm like in too many leagues to even like kind of focus that hard on trades in a certain redraft league, like I just set lineups and stuff. But I like the idea for sure, especially if you got one league you're really passionate about that you're following a lot and actively trying to trade mid-season. I like that.
I guess that makes me pretty desperate, man, because I got 30, and it's something I've done before. I'm like, hey, at this point, I'm playing matchups, man. I'm thirsty. I got to win this week. 0-4. I can't go there, man. So
right, I feel it.
Any other strategies you guys are using, or that's it?
I do. I got one more strategy for anyone out there with an 0-3 team playing Masters Fantasy Football. That's sign up for a weekly fantasy league instead, because your 0-3 team's done. Just come play weekly with us. Get a new team every week. That's how you work the matchups. But yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, call it a season and switch to daily or weekly. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Hey, I will add on those, man. Some of the coolest drafts we do. If you like the daily stuff, I mean, so much strategy involved in these. Basically, daily with the snake draft. I love the thought that, hey, man, not everybody's going to have Patrick Mahomes, Christian McCaffrey. You got to plan that out and draft well. Appreciate you throwing us that bone, Dynasty Owl. That's going to wrap up this edition. Some things we think you could do if you're 0-3 to help you out, man. Go out here this week, hit the waiver wire, take some of our advice, man. Make sure you get the victory in week 4. That'll get some momentum going. Hopefully you can turn your season around. And you're never out of it, man. Every year I'm going through payouts, man, and we're paying some 6 and 7 teams that made it in the playoffs, limped into the playoffs at 6 and 7, caught fire in the playoffs. And I mean, here they are sitting on top of the league. You're never out of it. Make it short. John beats this for you. Never give up, never surrender. We don't do that here at Masters, man. Thanks for watching. If you could, hit the like and subscribe button. Come be a part of the Masters family. Any last words, guys?
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Good stuff, guys.